Hello and welcome to this very special edition of Off the Cuff, OTC. And I promise you, even before we have had this conversation, that this is going to be a memorable one. Because it's once in many years, in fact, it's once in many Olympics sometimes, that we win an individual medal in India and then a silver. On top of that, we have a young woman who's 21, and with her, we have a teacher who's himself been a world champion and who now produces world champion, just like people produce cars of the assembly line, world ranked players. So, all of you, welcome to this very special evening, and our guests today, PV Sindhu, who needs no introduction. PV Sindhu, an applause to begin with. And Pullela Gopichand, So, until the rise of Pullela Gopichand and Prakash before that, we never thought that we could produce world champions in any field other than billiards. There was Michael Ferreira, or snooker, or maybe chess, somewhere there. So these guys, for the first time, showed us that in a physical sport which requires so much agility, Indians could beat the world. And then came the ladies, and they haven't looked back. So Sindhu, many congratulations.
Thank you.
And Sindhu, as you can see, stands heads and shoulders above everybody anyway. So Sindhu, it's a question you should answer. I thought I'll ask Gopi, but I'll ask you first. I heard that when you went to train with Gopi, you were this small.
Yeah.
And as he started training you, his problem was that every few months you will get a bit taller. So he had to readjust his court reach and everything. So tell us that story.
Good evening, everybody. Yes, before I was like very short, and I started at the age of 8.5. So, and I've been, so he used to tell me before that, you know, if you don't become tall, then you see what's going to happen now. I've become tall, then he's like, okay, enough. So I think height is an advantage in one way because of the reach and everything, so it shouldn't be a problem. But then there are also disadvantages, you know, like sometimes when you're bending and...
But you were taller than her.
Yeah.
You were the tallest in your competition. So, Gopi, besides the fact that she kept on growing all the time, what were the other challenges you faced, and what is the potential that you saw in her when she first came in as an 8-year-old?
Well, for one, I think her parents are sports persons. I think her father is an Arjuna Awardee in volleyball, and her mother is a volleyballer herself. So I knew that she would be tall and strong, and she was anyway lean growing up. So the challenge was that how to make her strong. So from a very young age, the idea was to get her off, to make her legs stronger so that when she grows up, she doesn't have problems at the international stage. But with her, I think the challenges were sometimes she was a little moody on court, gets very emotional on court, but just never a challenge with the work ethic though. It was something which was fantastic all through. I don't remember, in fact, ever having said her a time and she bargained with me about the timing or the training. So if she had to have a hard training, she would say, let's get done with it now rather than later. So that's the quality which I really liked about her.
For someone that young?
Yeah.
Was he a tyrant? Is he a tyrant?
Like, I'm very thankful to him because he's sacrificed so many things and also has been really working hard. Like not only me, but then whole day he's on court training others also since morning until evening. So I think we all have to, you know, be very grateful for his patience, one thing. So I think that's the main thing we all have to learn. Because since morning until evening he's on court, like playing with everybody. But at least we get, you know, rest some days, sometime, like, but then he's always on court.
So, how do you prepare for a big match? For example, this final, you know you are going to play world #1. She's a well-known player, you know her style, you know her method. What do you think the previous night?
Like normally we watch her matches. Me and Gopi sir just discuss about the strategy and how to play and what to play. So accordingly we just discuss and then I get prepared, and like before the matches also we just like warm-up sessions. He'll just talk to me like, you'll have to be ready for this, or you know, she does this and everything. So that way we prepare ourselves.
But what were you thinking this time? I mean, were you faced by the fact that you're up against world number one?
Like I've played with her many times. Like recently I won against her in Denmark.
Yes.
So again she beat me in I think Hong Kong. But then I had belief in myself that, you know, I can do it. Even like Gopi sir also had belief in me. So I think we prepared well and I went on to the court that way.
So Gopi, what did you tell her for each of the last 3 matches? Because those are the matches all of us watched.
Well, nothing much different from what I would say in probably a state level tournament in the sense. But then it was only about strategy and plan what you need to do. I think nowhere, I don't think in the entire Olympics was there any talk of the Olympics and how important it is, because I think there's already enough pressure and she knows it at the back of her mind. See, the only talk which was happening was how you need to rest and how you need to prepare and what's the strategy which needs to be played, and that's what we did. As far as the matches are concerned, I think the first round itself was a tough one. I think the one against Michelle Lee was a 3-setter, and that was a tough match to start off with. Once she was playing well and she was in control, then there was a lot more confidence which I had, but nonetheless I think each match had to be won, and there's very little difference between winning and losing at that highest level.
Hi, I'm Ruhi Tiwari, Associate Editor with The Print. This is a question either of you or both of you can answer. There's a lot of talk about how there's complete lack of support and sport infrastructure for all other sports in this country except cricket and perhaps to an extent tennis. Do you concur with that view?
Well, if I were to say, I think the kind of support which badminton has got and all sport I think has got in the last few years has been unprecedented. I think we are sometimes guilty of not giving credit, but I think the government of India has done a phenomenal job and the Sports Authority of India has really given us support. I think thanks to their unprecedented support, unconditional support in a way, that 120 athletes have qualified for the Olympics. We sometimes miss the point about the medals. But I think to get so many of them qualified in itself is something very good. And phenomenal support, unbelievable. I don't think many would do that. But no fault of the government.
In fact, we should also get Gopi to tell us a little bit about the academy you've built. Because I believe you've designed it in such a way that every trainee looks at the last thing the trainee sees is the coach going to sleep. And the first thing the trainee sees is the coach waking up.
Well, the idea was that to get all of these in one place, to have whatever is required inwards. So because when I was playing, I used to have to go to the gym separately, to the running track separately, swimming pool, food, shuttles, coach. At least one thing we have done, and this is credit to the Academy's admin, is that from the day we have started coaching in 2004 in temporary courts, till date, one thing which I'm really proud of, and this is not something which Gopichand the coach, but Gopichand as an academy, we've been as not even one single session in the last 12 years. None of my players has had a problem with shuttles or coaches or courts or gym or anything, and that's really been tribute to the Academy's infrastructure.
Because badminton facilities are world class in India now, aren't they?
Yeah.
Is there any country which has facilities better than ours right now?
For me, I feel the Gopichand Academy in which I'm training, it's been fantastic, and the infrastructure there has been very good, and especially like if we want anything, like there was nothing that, okay, we want this. Before only it was, everything was there. So it was nothing like, okay, we want this or this. But then before we used to ask anything, there was always there, like when it comes to physios or, trainers or equipment, anything.
But one thing is, having said that, I think we have countries like Japan or Germany. Some of these countries, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of these countries have definitely better support systems in terms of, say, a scientific backup.
Right.
The kind of
Sports medicine backup.
Sports medicine backup, which is a nutrition backup of a higher. So there is definitely scope for improvement on those areas. Great infrastructure doesn't produce players. It's
Right.
more to that, in the sense what you need is quality coaches and passion, and that's what produces. A little bit here and there in infrastructure doesn't really matter so much.
When I look at the two of you, I see a very soft, placid, tranquil demeanor. So modest, so humble, so soft-spoken. Now, when you're on the court, you got to be aggressive. You need to see a fighter on court. Now, how does that transformation come? And does your that demeanor ever come in your way on court? I mean, you're very soft and humble and simple, non-aggressive sort of a demeanor. But on court, we expect something completely different. We see something completely different.
She just has to see that shuttlecock in the air and she wants to.
So how does that transformation happen suddenly?
Well, I guess if you hit the shuttle so hard, you're not left with any aggression outside the court.
Conversation is now warming up, like the second game in a final match. So please don't go away. Wait, we'll be right back after this break with Gopichand and PV Sindhu.
How can I become like you?
I don't have words because it's just that, as I told you, in whichever sport she wants to, play or she's interested in, I think it's the parents' support and it's just the hard work, I feel. And basically, one thing is you'll have to enjoy in whichever sport you play or you want to.
How is a champion player different from others? Because lots of people play, but some become champions. And how is a champion teacher, coach different from others? Because not every coach produces champions.
Well, I wanted to see both of them in actual flesh and blood. And also my keenness was to shake hands with both of them. I've done it. But as far as creating a champion in Indian circumstances, I like to think whatever happens, whatever good happens in Indian sport is by sheer providence.
By sheer providence?
Yes. And in their case, and in Gopi's case, it's a remarkable commitment. And their intensity, I was watching the games throughout. The intensity was showing on the face. I just would like to ask him, because he kept on telling her, I was reading about it, go on, shout, shout, shout. And the way that Spanish girl was also screaming her lungs out. I thought she was terribly, terribly arrogant, and I honestly wanted her to win, but that didn't happen. But the shouting business, Gopi, are we trying to pick something from the Australian sledging part?
Well, I think she is a great player, Carolina Marin.
Oh, yeah.
And some of the traits of greatness is to stretch the rules to the limit. And she knows that, and it's the Olympics. She knew how much it was needed, and she used it. And I think it's important that we learn it and we don't complain and we get back to her stronger next time. And that's the only way of tackling it. in what Sindhu has done, we sometimes forget the fact that Srikanth beat the world number 5.
World number 5.
He got to the quarterfinals. He's like the top 8 athletes, top 8 players in the world. He almost...
And nearly beat Lindan.
Nearly beat Lindan there. So I think both of them, Srikanth and Sindhu, Srikanth is 23, Sindhu is 21, the young, and hopefully we'll have a couple of more Olympics and maybe many more big events from them.
Hi, the question is to Gopi. So Sindhu started at the age of 8.5, so we are assuming that by then she had figured out that she didn't want to pursue other sports to that extent but wanted to focus on badminton. So as parents, we like to give the world to our kids and we want to expose them to the best facilities. How can we help them choose the sport they want to get into? Because 8 is such a young age to decide that, I want to just play badminton. So how can we help our kids choosing that?
Well, I think it's important that at a young age you play multiple sport. I think for her, it's almost like her parents are from volleyball, but when my All England happened, and then the celebrations, and then they brought her to me at probably 5 years or 4 years at one of the functions. That's when I have a photograph. I don't remember hers so much, but I have that photograph when she was really young. But in general, I think as parents, we should look at ensuring that they play multiple sport. They enjoy sport, do a lot of physically literate things. When I mean physically literate in the sense, they should be able to throw, catch, kick, jump, swim, all of those, balance, all of that stuff. And as you progress later in life, little more, maybe around 11, 12, 13, you can actually pick up the sport which you want to go competitively in. There are sports like gymnastics and probably badminton, which are little early maturers, but most sports are late specialization sports. So you can actually do that at maybe 12 or 13 years of age. But that sports culture is not there. We all grow up studying. There's nothing. There's also pollution in the air, water, food we eat. So we're not growing stronger as an individual. So there are a lot of issues which we can talk. But fundamentally, I believe that we have a huge population. Our kids need to play, and the data needs to be taken out so that the best kids and the most talented kids are put to special coaching, and then a big bunch of them are there instead of the small group which we have, which needs to be progression like this, and then maybe a small pyramid. But at the moment you have a pyramid like this where everybody is dropping out of the system. People get out and not play.
Everybody has congratulated, but let me also take my turn.
Thank you.
Hats off to both of you. Sindhu, you did the whole country proud, and Gopi, I think you had done a great job, a commendable job, and without your persistence and without your sacrifices, this wouldn't have been possible. It was a great day for Indian badminton, and I think heartiest congratulations also for the award. In fact, to be frank, we were not expecting that you are going to get a medal. And I was...
Even I didn't expect that.
And in fact, I was...
He's so happy to prove you wrong.
I know. And I was most happy to be proved wrong. But I had also said before the tournament, when I was asked by some channels or, that she is somebody who's a giant killer and she is capable of upsetting anybody. But the only thing is that she has to weave that into a string, which she has been able to do this time.
Right.
Yes.
Earlier, she won 2 bronze medals in the World Championship. She beat 2 good players, but then couldn't go any further. And second time, the same thing happened. But you have overcome this, and I was so happy. I have never seen you so strong, so fit, and so fast on the court.
Young players, particularly aggressive young players, will lose patience. But she won rallies with, in fact, the longest I counted in the final was 52 strokes. I think it's one of the longest rallies I have seen in a match at that level. So did it take some special work with her so she doesn't get impatient and to try and finish it?
I know, just for your understanding, I think we worked, say, 2 months, 2.5 months for one single shot. And she played that maybe twice in a match.
And what was that single shot? for which
it was the backhand cross-court net shot, which he got 2 points out at crucial times. And it's like we worked every day for an hour and a half on that one shot, trusting that it will get us out of trouble when it's required.
You've given Fight Like a Girl a whole new meaning. So I think on behalf of young women, when we were growing up, when they said you fight like a girl, it used to be an insult. But I think you and Deepa and Sakshi have given that phrase a completely different meaning. Fight like a girl today has a very different meaning. So I think on behalf of all young women and old women like myself, thank you.
In fact, we should be telling all the boys now, fight like girls.
Fight like girls. I was just wondering, one heard a lot, Gopi, about how you actually had to encourage Sindhu to find her inner aggression, and how there was this moment when you actually had to tell her that, you know, listen, you've just got to stand on court and yell. And I just was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that, because to me that's very interesting, because women especially, you know, we're often discouraged in our society to be aggressive, and aggressive women is not considered a compliment, but I think an aggressive sportswoman...
That's why Barkha is never aggressive.
I'm always aggressive and proudly so, but I'd love to hear a little more about that moment.
Well, I think one is the saying, save the girl child should go, and it should be saved by the girl child.
Right.
I think thanks to them today, we are actually happy for our pride is at least somewhat saved. Slated at the Olympics, and there was no press and media which was coming, there was no people who were interacting. So I think the thing was, we trained really hard, so we were physically feeling very good. And that showed in the confidence on court, in the sense, I won't get tired. If I hit something, it'll just break. So that kind of the super confidence was there. And nobody to break that or put another burden on our heads. So isolated, the phones were off. I didn't have a phone, so I didn't have a problem as well. And her phone was off. And then we hardly met anybody outside of our comfort zone. We had our physio, Kiran and Subodh, who really were there protecting her. So one of us was shadowing her all the time, and it really worked. I was just telling her, 3 months off without the phone and you win a silver medal. I didn't know that. Let's take it off completely and see what happens.
So I want to ask you the base question of sacrifice. Growing up as a young, beautiful girl, how much did you sacrifice of being that girl? Did you have aspirations of looking beautiful, of having a romance? There must have been so many boys chasing you. Where did all that go? You were a natural, beautiful young girl in your teen years. Have you had to sacrifice that a lot?
I mean, many of them ask me that, do you miss your school friends or the school life? But then I've enjoyed it everywhere, because don't you miss your friends? But then always I come to the academy and play there, so it's like my second home. So I really enjoy it. One thing is that, and definitely, like, while playing, it's just that my focus is, you know, I have to improve my game, and I have to play well and give my best. So it's not that I've missed something in my life, but whatever I've done, I've enjoyed each moment.
But you didn't answer the question. Do boys chase you?
Did your heart have some flutters? You just have time for romance or dreams or something like that? You cannot have sacrificed all of that.
No, it was not like sacrifice, but then my only aim was to...
Okay, that says everything. Your face gave it away. I wanted to hear that. Thank you.
But frankly, you should see her in designer clothing, because she's been posting some pictures of herself in designer clothing. You should see those. She'll also make a great supermodel. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
So, Gopi, this is our first conversation. Over a silver, next one over a gold, and maybe next one with a gold and silver. So there's a lot more to come. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been wonderful. You found time. This is your first public appearance. I know after this you must be very tired, but you have to pay for your success. So thank you very much.